You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people-of-color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include blood, complex relationships, grief, trauma, fantasy violence, romance, sexual references, death of loved ones, and funerals. Arc 2, Episode 31. May Her Life Inspire. From Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. The Forge Master's fate has been sealed. As white blood runs red, Xuejiang slowly, painfully staggers to her feet. She looks younger somehow, the fighting spirit of mortality surging through her veins where divinity used to flow. She also looks older, tired, spent. The weight of a mortal heart becomes too heavy for her ancient body to hold. She looks like she's about to keel over, but then Lu Hua is at her side, holding her shoulders, steadying her. The apprentice has tears in Tada eyes. Ta looks at Xuejiang with anger, betrayal, sorrow. And when they speak, it is not with malice or accusation, but desperation. Hope. Shifu, are you okay? Please, let me take you home. I'll tend to your wounds. I'll make sure you recover.
No. Home is not here for me anymore, Lu Hua. I believe my purpose is elsewhere. It's back where all of this began for me. Back on Yaolan.
No, I'm not ready for you to leave. For things to change. Forge Master, please.
You need to stop calling me that, Lu Hua. I am not the Forge Master anymore. I am simply an old woman who has lost her way. I am not the person that this city needs, not anymore. You sprang from a spark of my hammer. You are the bright parts of myself that I shoved into a dark place and tried to forget. But magic cannot be kept on a leash for long. You are my creation. You are my light. You are my hope. Do not make the same mistakes I did. It's time for you to forge your own path.
And all Lu Hua can do in response is weep. She weeps as she helps her former mentor off the roof of Plumleaf Courtyard. She weeps as she guides Xuejiang toward the Ascension Gate under the bough of a peach tree. She weeps as Longdu lifts a broken piece of the river gourd and magic starts to build around the Forge Master no more. And she weeps as she presses her fist against her open palm and bows in a final gesture of gratitude and farewell. Thank you, Gang Shifu, for teaching me everything I know. May the cradle be kind to you, and may you journey well. And in a pillar of light, whiter than a diamond itself, Gang Xuejiang, the former Forge Master of the City of Heaven, leaves her home forever. Time passes. It always does. That's the purpose of a domain. Time, space, life, death, luck, power itself. the raw materials used by fate and magic to build the grand schemes of the journey. Time does as it is instructed to. It moves ever onward upon a single track. As time moves, the mist settles, and the city of heaven exhales. The Emperor announces that there will be a procession, a ritual journey from the Imperial Complex to the peak of Tiandufeng, a way to say goodbye, to confront what the gods have all been denying, a funeral for the devouring, a funeral for the devoured. There is no shortage of time for you to prepare for this, and in Xainan's case, for you to rest. Xainan, you collapsed immediately after the fight against the former Forge Master. Darkness took you swiftly but gently, and you do not remember being caught in Naim's arms. You do not remember Lumira's firm orders or being rushed to the medical quarters of the Azir complex. You do not recollect the hours Naim spends by your side, tending to your wounds, helping Ash and Lumira and the other healers of the city do their work. But you do remember your dream. Tell me, Xainan, what did you see in that space between life and death?
It's been very busy in all of his memories and recollections, especially since the ascent to go see the sage. And this time, he's just alone in a field. There's not even raptors. He's just sitting there, feeling the breeze, warm, damp, that cool night air, and looking up at the stars.
The stars' light grows more and more blurred, muted, as though they were bleeding into each other until the night sky becomes awash with just light. And then you wake. You blink awake against that light. You find yourself in a bed, a low bed very close to the ground, with a hard silk pillow by your head and herbs hanging upside down from wooden rafters. Naim is here. In fact, in addition to the light, it is Naim who is the one who woke you. Not with any word or action, but with the weight of his head against your shoulder. He's asleep, pressed against your chest, dark circles etched into the flesh under his eyes. He has clearly stayed up all night, taking care of you, watching over you, and he's done quite a good job. Your wounds are patched with medicine, stitches, gauze, and so are his. But you feel immediately the embers of creation, the warmth of it still splintering and crackling against your temple. That wound will never heal, Xainan. Still, Naim Zaran is asleep at your side, and all you can see is the soft curve of his nose, his full and soft lashes, his perfect mouth. How do you wake?
Xainan doesn't move for a moment. All that empty space with no one in it, just him and the stars. He suddenly feels very connected in a way he hasn't been in a very, very long time. And he revels in the warmth of Naim, the breath, the smell of him. And then he very gently just kind of nudges him with his chin.
Xainan, you're awake. And Naim slowly pushes himself off your shoulder and blinks his eyes, rubs at the corner of it. You're awake. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I feel here. Somehow. No oblivion yet for me.
No oblivion for as long as either you and I still have work left to do. I'm sorry about your temple. We couldn't... The wound...
It's just another scar. It's fine.
At least you're used to scars. Doesn't look
Yeah.
bad on you either.
I haven't gotten a good look yet. Does it make me more handsome?
Fishing for compliments, now I know you're fully yourself. Yes, it does, Xainan, though I think you were plenty handsome before.
Thank you for staying with me.
What did you expect me to do? Leave you? How could I?
You were right. This whole time, I don't know, worried things had gotten messier between us.
Things are always messy between us, Xainan, and I don't know of any possible future where they could even get messier. But more so than me enjoying the feeling of being right, I'm glad you were able to make the changes you did here. You're a different man, but you're also still the same man. I see it in you. Through the cracks, the scars. I like what I see.
That's just the mission getting to you. We've been out in the field too long again.
You should take your shots when you have them, Ash.
Every time. Zeron.
And as the two of you chuckle, you find Naim's fingers subconsciously making their way over to your hand as you're prone in bed.
Like, they've always laced together this way every time, like a basket weaver making a well-learned basket.
And as your fingers come together, there is a sense of a distance that is starting to close between the two of you, of a rift that's starting to mend, of a wound that's starting to patch up, of a rupture that's beginning to repair. It's familiar. You've hurt each other before. You've hurt him before, plenty, but you've also made up. Something about this feels so familiar. How and why you were drawn to each other in the first place. All you needed was a reminder. And as your fingers find each other, we push in on the white fabric of the bedroll around you and into an expanse of mist. And when the mist clears, we find Lumira. You are on the mountain path leading to the top of the White Forge. Luhua, the newly minted forge master of the city, has volunteered to craft paper effigies for the over 10,000 denizens of the city as part of the funerary rituals. As is customary in the Sister Realms, the loved ones of the deceased burn paper offerings of objects that they believe will serve them in the afterlife. So like everyone else on this mountain path, you are on your way to receive the effigy you have requested from Luhua. And we find you now amidst a busy throng of gods, all traversing up this mountain, murmuring mournfully amidst each other, not being pushy, but very numerous. And it's all adding up to be overwhelming and overstimulating. There's just so many people here. So how are you making your way through the crowd?
Lumira is exhausted. She is so tired. Typically, her stature is strong, stoic. She stands at her full height. But you see her now, the bags under her eyes are so much more pronounced than they've been in a while. Her shoulders slump. She still has that same air about her, but it's just deflated just a little bit. As I think thousands of hours at this point of lost sleep is finally starting to catch up to her. So she walks quietly, solemnly, closer over to the side, closer, not on the edge of where everyone else is at, but still kind of off to the back, just shuffling along, not really making eye contact or talking. Her eyes are kind of cast to the ground.
Everything around you and inside your body feels so heavy, but also at the same time so untethered. Like you're weightless, like you could just up and float away at a moment's notice. You're in like that buzzing place where a lack of sleep and exhaustion takes you. And that's when you hear a familiar voice behind you, a voice you could never misplace, a voice that refuses to be misplaced. Amaru Hendrick's voice. Lumira, you look like you're about to float away. May I? And you see Amaru come from around your periphery and stand in front of you with your hands up, gesturing toward your shoulders. And Z maintains eye contact with you this whole time. And you know what Z is gesturing to do, what Z is asking for. It's a little ritual that Z has done with you many times before to help you feel grounded. Do you let him?
I think Lumira is so far past everything at this point in her exhaustion. She doesn't even fight it. I think the familiarity is the comfort to her right now. She kind of holds on to that.
Maru nods, seeing your permission, and then puts his hands forward. One with dark, rich brown skin and the other skeletal, gilded. They rest on your shoulders and press there, not forcefully, but gently, firmly. And that physical sensation of someone else just holding onto your shoulders helps you feel grounded, helps you feel rooted. And your eyes, Lumira, your bright, piercing white eyes are so intense, so focused all the time. But now cast down onto the ground, feeling wavery, feeling untethered to yourself, you find Amaru as that anchor, as that place that you're able to hook onto and feel more like yourself again. And as Maru holds you, helps ground you, Z speaks. Listen, all of Phoenix is, well, we're here for you. For Nova. It's the right thing to do. Strike team to strike team.
You know that point at night during a sleepover with you and your friends where you are so exhausted, but you are having so much fun that everything is funny and you just laugh? I think that's where Lumira is at this point. And she chuckles. It starts off kind of dry, but it ends up being a genuine chuckle by the end of it. This is ironic.
Ironic?
I knew you hated me.
Lumira, I don't hate you. Okay, I could never hate you. There's a lot we haven't talked about. Everything that happened between us happened before the Chosen One passed. So it
She
wouldn't
tenses.
be. He feels your shoulders bunch up, but he keeps his hands there. So even I understand, even I know that I shouldn't press a matter when there is a wound so fresh. And Sing and I, we weren't close. Obviously, I respected her. The entire Syndicate respected her. But I didn't know her like you did. I didn't know them like Strike Team Nova did. But I know how important they were to you. Everyone knows how important they were to you. So, I'm not some irredeemable asshole or prick, Lumira. If you need someone to talk to about this, and for some reason I'm the only person you can talk to, I guess you can talk to me. Or just let me be there when you're feeling bad.
When Z says that, Lumira looks at Zem with, like, eyebrow arched highly, like... And then she kind of brushes off that initial skepticism. I'm learning, is all she says. But I never got a chance to apologize.
Oh. And Amaru kind of straightens up a little bit. And you get the sense that this is a moment that Z has been waiting for a really, really long time. But Z is on the, like, razor's edge between, like, gloating about it and, like, rubbing it in and being like, yeah, you're sorry, and, like, okay, well, you've just suffered, like, a cataclysmic loss. You've been through a lot of shit here. So he's, like, he's on that tightrope. Go on.
I know it seems late and can almost be interpreted as disingenuous based off of what I've went through recently. But I would be remiss to not admit to you that it put a lot of things into perspective for me. I still don't even have an inkling on the full breadth of the capabilities of what happened. I think I just now started to get an understanding of what maybe it possibly could have been. I was frantic and scared and desperate. I felt like I had lost enough at that point and I couldn't lose anyone else, or I would crumble. But and she kind of smiles bitterly, like the realization tastes like the most bitter of melon in the back of her tongue. Part of me likes to think it just ended up staving off the inevitable. But that's not important. What's important is I changed you forever. And I can't undo that. But the least I could do was apologize. So, for that, I am deeply sorry.
Oh. Huh. Well, apology pending.
You don't have to accept it. I'm not asking for your forgiveness.
I'll let you know. But thank you for saying that, Lumira. I think I really needed to hear it. And yeah, you're right, you did change me. In a way that You know what? Never mind. We've fallen way behind. We should get to the top of this mountain before, before
Have you been
Master closes
slacking?
shop.
You used to be able to carry me and have no problem keeping up at all. Are you getting
Oh,
a little slow?
please. Oh, you know what? Is that a challenge? Because
I think
I
I'm
bet I could get up
challenging
there before you can.
Yeah,
You know what? I won't even use any of my angel powers. No, I'll give you a freebie.
Lumira kind of chuckles at that same familiarity of the banter their relationship entailed. But she doesn't get down from his arms. She lets them carry her. Your added challenge is keeping me in your arms the entire time. I didn't think I let you off that easy, did you?
Oh, please. Have you seen me? I live for carrying pretty people in my arms, so
Yeah.
hang on.
Amaru, forever the bottom. Yip, yip.
What? What? Okay, yeah, whatever. And Amaru starts gliding up the mountain path, almost as though he were skating on his heels instead of actually walking, and through the consortium of gods, also journeying up the cliff. And as the two of you push through this crowd of divines, we travel all the way up the side of the mountain until we find Seir. You are underneath the pounding cascades of the waterfall at the very top of the White Forge. This is that very same water that feeds the limestone river cutting through the diamond furnace. This is the very same water that the Forge Master once used to quench her masterpieces, and this is the very same water that you used to awaken patience and violence. And now you sit underneath this roaring torrent of white, its frigid pressure bearing down, beating down on your heads and on your head and your shoulders with relentless force. What are you meditating over?
We see Seir shirtless underneath the cascading waterfall. He's not standing, he is sat in the pool. His dhoti, the white trousers that he wears, he ties higher as it rests on his upper thigh, a knot right where his waist begins. And as he sits there cross-legged, allowing the water to pummel him, essentially, to allow it to wash away the feelings of lethargy, exhaustion that cover his entire body. We see the wounds, the scars from the days before. We see the wound that's still raw, that's still very present on Seir's body, where violence had cut into his ribs. And he sits there, cupping his hands, steeped in one another, his eyes closed, allowing each water droplet to fall down his crown, down his antlers, onto his face. And he's meditating on everything, trying to feel like himself again. The last time there was a procession, there was a funeral. He was there. But here's another one, but it feels right this time. It doesn't feel wrong or like a hole in his heart or a weird trepidation. It feels right. Just like how his newfound power, although it unnerves him seeing the shadow of the deer-headed entity in the shallow recesses of his mind, it feels right. But then his mind lingers on the fight. His monstrosity, but how he kept falling down. How that hammer kept Xainan on the ground. How it pummeled him again and again and again and again. How Xuejiang knocked Lumira off the roof again. The threat of the axe levied upon her head again. Where was he? Ying He, being thrown into the combat he never wanted him to have any part of. Pummeled again. And that's where his mind stays as Seir replays each of those moments. And how Nova's protector could do nothing.
The water beating down on your head and shoulders feels like not punishment exactly, but something, a physical, tangible reminder that you are still of flesh and blood and bone. That despite everything, despite the doom you have accepted, despite the monstrous form you undertook in your fight against Xainan, despite that destructive power that brims within you, there is a big part of you that is still ultimately mortal, fallible. Where are the crescent blades?
They're both strapped to his waist. Violence is on the other side of where patience is, so he would wield them this way. But he does find his fingers tracing the hilt of violence, hoping that maybe the waters that awakened them might ground them again.
The water washes over patience just fine, glistening down the silver edge of that curved blade. And it washes down violence, but it doesn't purify it. Lu Hua tried to purify it after the fight, offered, helped you, even placed violence back into the diamond forge, quenched it again to remake it, but still could not lift the curse.
Why
and
are
you
you
remember
still this
what
way?
Lu Hua... Go ahead.
Why are you still this way? Why do you feel like this?
Violence rattles against your waist, a low vibration only you can feel on your skin as much as inside your soul. And you feel patience on the other side of your waist, vibrating in return, almost like it's trying to not get away from violence, but moving in dissonant rhythm to its twin. The blades are at odds with each other. You will have to find some other way to work with them.
You're upsetting each other. Come on. You were forged together, weren't you? And Seir sighs defeatedly as he slumps back deeper into the water so that the water showers down in front of his face, pushing his dark mass of hair over his eyes. Just rest with me. You're twins. Please.
But the blades don't heed your call. They continue to vibrate in dissonance against each other, rattling inside your very soul like loose shards of glass clanking against your sternum. And then you hear from the small crevice in the wall of the cliff from which the waterfall is pouring a voice. Seir? And surfacing out of the shadows of that crevice, backlit by the splashing of the water, is Ying He. Hi.
Seir was facing the inside of the waterfall, and as soon as he hears their voice, his eyes snap open. These piercing blue eyes hidden by the deluge of the waterfall. He turns around, pushes his hair off of his face, and steps out onto the main area where the water begins to feed into the river, and peers out to see Yinghe. Hey, how are you feeling? And he walks towards an area where there's probably a towel that he set for himself, and he picks it up and begins wiping his face and shoulders.
Yeah, as you towel off, Yinghe's eyes, their silver eyes follow every movement, and they're kind of wringing their fingers together a little, almost a little nervously. I'm okay. Kind of. I wanted to apologize for hurting you. That wound in your side, I failed to wield violence. I couldn't fight off its corruption, and I hurt you because of it, so I'm really sorry about that. I hope it doesn't hurt my chances of, working with the team. Because violence aside, I think I did a pretty good job helping Xainan and then helping Lumira at the end there. She seemed to have difficulty getting up to the roof, so I hope that my shadow trick worked. I hope it didn't make her too dizzy. You don't think it made her too dizzy, do you?
You should go home.
What?
And throughout the journey of Yinghe speaking, Seir's been staring as they bring their fingers in their hands, every movement, every expression. And Seir does not blame Yinghe for violence. Violence was cursed. And I think in this moment in time, we see Seir say, no, it wasn't your fault. Violence is corrupted by magic. And Yinghe continues. And he watches that expression of belonging to Strike Team Nova, the eyes sparkling, being united as one of us, and that those eyes sparkle like hers did with me as we fought side by side together in Nova. I couldn't protect 4 people. I couldn't protect 2 people. How can I protect 3? And Seir makes his choice. You should go home. Zheguang must miss its chosen. Needs its chosen.
Oh.
You've been assisting us long enough.
Oh, right, okay. I'm sorry. You're right. I should go home. Okay, goodbye. Bye. And whoosh, they sink into the shadows and vanish.
Fuck. Seir swears. I did not want it to go that way. Not like that.
Whew. I thought you liked each other. And coming out from around a bend is Lua, wearing her former mentor's apron around her body, her hands propped on her waist. She looks like she's been crying, but she's also smiling at you a little teasingly and a little sadly.
Lua, liking has nothing to do with it. At least this way they'll be safe. You saw all that? Seir looks over his shoulder.
I see and hear pretty much everything that happens on this mountain. And,
Great.
I guess I can relate to that. Though on the other side of it. Sometimes I wonder how much the Forge Master didn't tell me because she was trying to protect me in her own way.
This is different, Seir says. This is very different.
Okay, if you say so. Well, I'm just about done making the effigies for you and your strike team and most of the other gods. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of effigies I'm making. You know, some people are requesting a couple dozen just per person, so I'm a little, I got my hands full, but I signed up for it. You know, it's I need to do this. You know? I need to do it.
You've done such great work for us. I know how many thousand of gods whom you serve. We appreciate it, Nova and I. I appreciate it. What you're doing for us.
Thank you, Seir. And I appreciate everything you've done. For me. And for the Forge, Xuexiang. And everyone else here.
Your
But
teacher's
I'm
sins
also...
aren't your own. You know that, right?
I guess intellectually, yeah. I do. You know, that's what everyone's been telling me. I can't tell you how many condolences I've been getting from people, you know, as everyone gears up for the procession. But it's one thing to know something in your head, in your mind, and another to feel it like it's true in here. And they put their hand over their heart.
Seir nods and puts on his sash once more across his shoulder and walks up to Lu Hua. And should Ta allow him, put his hand on one of Ta's shoulder and another just above where their heart is. You were born from a great spark of the Forge Master's hammer and anvil. Your teacher saw the path. Her path, now yours. I know I can't speak how you feel away, but this, and he gestures to the apron, gestures to the heart. This is rightfully yours and a path that you will walk well. I know it.
Thank you, Seir. And Tada eyes well with tears even as they smile. And the smile is not a mask, Seir. It's never been a mask for Lu Hua. It's why when you were trying to wear the mask, it didn't fit. Because this isn't faking it for her. She's not hiding her pain behind the smile. Because that would be like hiding a part of who she is. She is in pain, but she is also full of joy and full of light. Ta is wounded and brave and happy and deeply sad all at once. And Ta gives you that crying, weeping smile. Thanks, Seir. That really means a lot coming from you. Because I know we didn't really get to know each other super well while you were here, but I still kind of feel like, I don't know, like we resonate with each other in some way. Because you're right, I did spring from a spark of that hammer of creation. But like recognizes like. You sprang from something too. Someone too. And
Seir's
you'll get to
expression
forge your own path
darkens.
as well.
Seir's expression darkens for the moment when his eyes trace down onto the surface of the water, where whether he sees him or not, Seir almost feels like he sees a pair of blue eyes looking back at him before snapping up at Lu Hua. Like attracts like, and thank you, Lu Hua, for helping me find my way again. And I know we haven't spent a lot of time together, but what you've done for me, for my strike team, I won't forget. I'll never forget. Nor our friendship. He asks with the raised eyebrow, a hand on Patient's hilt.
Friendship! Yeah, come here! And Lu Hua comes in and gives you a big bear hug. Two of you are both very massive and solidly built, so it's like, bam, two mountains colliding. Gives you a big hug. And as they pat your back, they say, it's a fresh wound, but scar tissue will weave across the heart with time. And you're not sure if she's referring to her own wound or yours.
Come, show me your masterpieces.
Oh, I don't usually work with paper, but I have to say, I think I outdid myself. Come.
I don't doubt it.
And as you follow Lua up to the White Forge, we push back through the pounding, roaring cascades of the waterfall. And when we sift through that liquid, we part the curtains to hear familiar voices echoing through that waterfall. And Seir, as you rise a little bit above where the cascades fall, you see Lumira, Amaru, Xainan, and Naim cresting a switchback some 36 boo below you. The four of them must have bumped into each other on their way up here to the White Forge. And Seir, as you see Xainan, we push down this path and into your mismatched eyes, Xainan. And reflected in the orange eye, we see memories of an axe, a hammer, an arrow. But in the green eye, we see a more recent memory. You, in the healing quarters, getting dressed. And Naim is also getting dressed. And the two of you are shrugging on your funeral best, and a question is winding its way out of your mouth. What is it?
What do you think this is the right
Come here. There's something about the way that you're just... And Naim kind of helps you adjust your kimono, right? Adjust your sash, adjust kind of like the fit of the cloth over your shoulders, kind of like smooths down your shoulders and then pats you on the chest. There. Now you look properly presentable.
Even though he looks perfect, his kimono nice and straightened, he's not wearing the quiver, because why would he today? Also, he doesn't have a bow anymore, but there's still something about the way he's holding himself or the clothes where everything except for his hat doesn't seem to quite fit. And it's not that he doesn't know what's happening. In fact, part of it is that he's trying to find a way to ask without asking, how does one attend a funeral?
I think Naim senses that unaskable question for you, right? As you're like kind of discomfited, right, in these beautifully, immaculately pristinely worn clothes. And Naim says, Xainan, you'll fit right in.
I just am not very well practiced at this. It's not like we have funerals at Trans.
Not in the typical way,
Yeah.
no. But we do have our Hall of Heroes. We do have our ceremonies, our rituals.
Yeah, but it's not the same when you're not, laying, I don't know, I've never... And he's winding around in circles and circles and circles. And finally, his mind stops on a tree on the lodestar steading. Not dusty. Beautiful. The stars above. Sorry, I know that there's funerals. They're just... I'm always a little out of sorts with these kinds of things.
Naim looks at your face and then a slow, understanding nod. Right. Well, for what it's worth, Zai, there's no right way to attend a funeral. No wrong way either, as long as you're respectful. Just like how there's no right or wrong way to love. That's all it is, right? To love, to mourn. All that matters, Zai, is that you're here, is that you show up, is that you're present with everyone. That's all people will care about.
And finally, he picks up that pot that he's been using to apply his green markings here in the City of Heaven. And he looks at it for a longer moment than usual, because it's almost just a practiced moment of his morning normally, but he puts a little on his finger, kind of looks in a mirror, and drags the marking over his cheek, feeling the warm spot, and it burns away the marking that he tries to put over it as he drags it down his cheek. And he puts a little more there, and it keeps burning it away and burning it away and burning it away.
Naim reaches a hand up as you try to apply it like a fourth or a fifth time, and just gently guides your fingers back down, away from your face, without a word.
There's some funerals I've only ever been to 2. They were a long time ago.
And you know me, I've only ever been to the one before I came to the Syndicate. It can be tough. It can be hard. But I always just remember, fate brought us here for a reason. Fate gave us the second chance. Fate gave us the opportunity to be here, with the people that we choose to be with. The people who matter. And as long as you make that decision to be here, that's all you need to do. The first step is already taken. What's that you always say, Zai? Roads can be traveled both ways.
Yeah.
All you have to do is take that first step. You never truly walk this journey alone.
Yeah. 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 And you can feel his palms are a little clammy. This whole situation has him both so off-center, but he can feel Naim pulling him into the moment, and the memory of being in the knife, of walking through the halls of Trans at the hip of a saint, but not being present, not being there. The shape of him and the words that Seir said about the funeral that actually did happen. And the funeral that he didn't get to have, the second one. And he takes that discomfort and disquiet and decides to trust in Naim. And turns to him, straightens up, this time the clothes fitting again. I'm not going anywhere. Be with the people you're with, right?
That's right. Good. Come on. And Naim reaches forward and intertwines his fingers with yours and pulls you toward the door. And we pull out of this memory to find these two groups reuniting in front of the White Forge. And Luhua stands at the mouth of the diamond furnace with a big smile at the newcomers. And their black eyes are still red around the whites from crying, but as always, that smile is genuine. Ah! Greetings, cultivators. I have the effigies for your groups all folded and ready to go. We'll catch up more later, I'm sure, but for now, we should all be going to the Hall of Peerless Destiny. The procession will be starting soon.
This walk was so long already. But thank you. Eager to join.
You're very welcome. And that brisk mountain air is good for your lungs.
Seir looks over at you with his blue eyes, like he just flicks his eyes over to you, and then just does like a deep-throated, like chested chuckle of hearing that like unsure noise come out of your mouth.
Lumira gives a snort like, bitch, please.
Need me to carry you
Says
down,
the
old
person
man?
who was carried up the mountain. I have 2 feet.
Oh. But I thought you didn't like the walking up here.
I've just done it a lot.
Well, the offer's there.
Show me what you got, old man.
See, now you gotta beat Lumira.
Who
That's
looks,
impossible.
for fair warning, looks just as exhausted, if not more, than you.
Let's just focus on the day.
Amaru crosses Seir arms and chuckles a little, but doesn't give away the fact that he carried you up the side of the mountain, Lumira. That remains between the two of you. And
Lumira says nothing.
of course you don't.
As far
Of
as
course
they
you don't.
know, she walked this
did it
whole
yourself.
thing by herself.
Exactly. So the 4 of you receive your effigies from the Brandley, the newly minted Forge Master, and then you all turn and begin to journey toward the hall. And as you do, the sun winds its inexorable path toward the horizon. And the heavens are painted the color of freshly spilled blood. Cove and Ash, somewhere along the journey, find their way to your group, falling into step with you with ease. And something about this just feels right. Even in a city of gods, all of you are still walking a familiar path with familiar companions. And eventually, that path leads both of your strike teams all the way back to the Hall of Peerless Destiny. Standing before the Sandalwood throne is the immortal Emperor Long Du. Her flowing skirts of amethyst have been traded in for mourning robes of the deepest, purest white. It hurts to gaze upon her majesty, her hope, her overwhelming sorrow. Yellow and white chrysanthemums are woven through their hair, and their newly tamed diamond-edged blade Absolution is peace-tied at their waist. All the other gods of the City of Heaven are similarly dressed. You are surrounded by white fabric of every style and material, just like the mist that suffuses the magic of the Sister Realms, just like the color of the former Forge Master's soul and blood. Every now and then, you see splotches of black, blue, green amidst this tide of white, but not red. Never red. Even Yen Zhiling, the vermilion bird, is wearing white. As the last of the gods trickles into the hall, Xiaocheng steps forward, white robes pooling around their ankles. The right side of their face is still wrapped with cloth bandages, and an eye patch the color of midnight covers their right eye. And when they speak, their voice is solemn but assured. Gods of the City of Heaven, as the courtier of 4 symbols, and now as this fine city's virtue, it is my duty and my privilege to introduce the Emperor before the Court of Gods. But before I do, I would like to share something with you all. I have spoken with Mingyu, the god of harmonious names, and she has confirmed something I have suspected ever since all of us returned to the City of Heaven, which is that my name has changed. And the courtier draws their name in the air with their finger. Xiaocheng. The calligraphy forms in magical brushstrokes of pure orange. Hun for soul, Xiao for little, Cheng for orange. And Xiaocheng continues, but I am not a little soul of orange anymore. I am Hun Xiaocheng. And they sweep their hand over Cheng, transforming the character from orange to change. I am Hun Xiaocheng, a little soul of change. And murmurs ripple through the gathered gods. The changing of a name is a major affair. But Xiaocheng simply smiles. They raise their head and they proclaim, "All welcome the immortal Emperor Longdu, devourer of the devouring, grand adjudicator of the game, sovereign on high of Yaolan, the amethyst dragon." And Longdu smiles. She smiles at Xiaocheng, she smiles at the gathered gods, she smiles at the three of you, Strike Team Nova, and your fellow agents from the Syndicate. And when the cheering finally dies down, she addresses the City of Heaven. The nightmare came in threes. First, it took the form of a devouring, led by gods who tried to escape the call of the mist. Next, it came in the form of magic itself, bringing us into a realm of omens and dreams. And finally, the nightmare took the form of a blade, driven through my chest. But now, we wake, and we learn. The mist showed us our darkest, most monstrous selves, parts of us that we have hidden, parts of us that we have shamed. But we cannot hide from what the mist wants to show us. We must face it. I never afforded myself the opportunity to mourn the devouring, to mourn the gods who were taken, to mourn the gods I took. I am not alone in this. None of us have given ourselves the chance to grieve. The Sister Realms is a result of strife, cataclysm, doom. I hid from this truth and all the scars it bore by always acting, always building, always fixing. I thought that if I made the City of Heaven into the peaceful realm I knew it could be, then all our past violences, all our past traumas could be purified. But now I see that scars are not meant to be wiped away. There is nothing to cleanse. There is only the witnessing, the acknowledging, and when we are finally ready, the grieving. And now, we will all have the chance to do what we should have done a long time ago. We will process from the Hall of Peerless Destiny to the peak of Tiandu Feng. We will mourn. We will wail. We will sing. And we will dance. And when we reach the Ascension Gate atop Celestial Peak, we may have the chance to send our grief and all the precious things we hold to the dead, thanks to the tireless work of the former Forge Master's apprentice. Fire and smoke shall carry our wishes to the past, whether they are ghosts in the underworld or souls taken by oblivion. And with that, we're gonna cut to break. So thank you all so much for tuning in so far to the finale of Arc 2. We will be back in about 10 minutes. Enjoy Spawny, sponsor Connie, enjoy the fan art reel. And we are gonna be pulling the winner for our dice giveaway. So literally now is like the absolute last chance that you have to enter the giveaway. So if you donate anywhere, I think it's $15 or more, you will be entered to win this beautiful dice set that I have rolled personally and that my fingers have touched. So if that means something to you, I don't know.
You also dropped it on the floor.
I did, but it's not chipped. I checked. It is not chipped. It is still perfectly beautiful. So
you ain't have to call him out like that, Kai. You could have just left that part.
Kai had to do it.
You know what? If you want,
I'm on your side, Connie.
Personally dropped by Connie, then yes, I'm doing anything to like.
That's why.
Ham this up so we could continue supporting this show. So yes, we will see you soon. See you in 10. Bijou.